Now, economic growth slowed to 5.6 during the first quarter. This is where we are at 5.6. Abraham, what do you think really was operating in the economy at this time that makes us have these numbers?
You see, we've moved from about 6.2 to 5.6.
Yeah, now we're at 5.6.
We're at 5.6. Although this is a quarter, this is just for a quarter.
Yes.
So probably we need to compare it with what it looked like in the previous quarter, as opposed to comparing it to 6.2. Because sometimes, depending on which economy you're talking about, the individual quarters don't contribute equally to the overall growth.
Yes.
So you might find that normally, especially the quarter the quarter that ends, when the budget cycle ends, people tend to slow down, especially government spending. It slows down because that's when people are trying to reposition their budgets and their lives. So we may not be able to factor in so many reasons as to why it has happened this way, because this is just a quarterly.
Yes.
I think we may want to look at it over a longer or a horizon. Because comparing 5.6 to 6.2 may not be a very fair comparison. It may be better to compare it to the previous year. And I think if you compare it to the same quarter last year, it was more or less.
Yes. When you look at it on the short term, though, is it okay for us to look at the delay of the long rains that most Kenyans expected in this quarter?
You see, again, and you're right,
yes.
Anything happening to agriculture filters straight into this.
Yes.
Because don't forget, about 80% of our economy is driven from agriculture. So yes, that could be a factor. But there could be many other factors that could contribute to it. And also don't forget, inflation is also starting to kick in. The price of food and the price of fuel is starting to drive up our inflation rate.
Yes. You said that this is a very short term, we can't look at it, but what Henry Rotich said when he was releasing the numbers just the other day, he said that we expect this to be on an upward trend.
Yes.
And even we had the Central Bank of Kenya governor saying that he also doesn't see this really getting affected much. So when you look at 6.2 and 5.6 now, a 0.6% decrease, is that number enough to get somebody worried and say,
no,
maybe
it would not.
Does it start a downward trend, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. And you see, all trends are they tend to have spikes.
Yes.
But these are minor. 6.8 to 5.6 is more. And again, the 6.2 was for over 1 year. This is 5.6 over a quarter.
Yes.
So maybe let's wait and see what 6 months looks like.
Yes.
Then we decide whether we want to worry or not. Yes.
All right. Now we do know that now we're getting into the new fiscal year now.
Yes.
That's us from July to this July 1st.
Yes.
Do you think that anything within what the government outlined in its budget tabling the other day would spark this growth that we expect?
Yes, because you see, if you look at some of the interventions the government is putting in, it's trying especially to revive agriculture.
Yes.
To revive an industry around agriculture. To reduce, to encourage people to bring up industries that clean up our environment.
Yes.
With the waste that we already have. And at the same time, they're trying to conserve our trees by allowing you to bring in timber duty-free.
Yeah, duty-free.
So if you look at...
you go get it from somewhere else,
somewhere else, but don't touch our trees.
Yes.
So if you look at the combination of those factors, all things held constant, we should see an upward trend.
Yes. If we look at the way it is that they're trying to support agriculture, they've said, look, we're going to sort of kick out some of the taxes that you've been paying to bring in agricultural machinery. Do you think that's a very good point to start from, other than focusing purely on the dams?
Yeah, you see, with agriculture, you have to focus on production.
Yes.
Production is about, especially the machinery, and of course, water. Water, so we can't run away from dams, because we want to move away from rain-fed agriculture, because we have got very good weather in this country. So if with good water, you can actually add an extra season.
Yes.
On most of these commodities that we produce. So we fix the water in terms of now move away from rain-fed agriculture, and then now we make it easier for people, one, to get the machinery, and two, improve the technology around production. Because I remember we said the other day that Kenya only produces 1.5 million metric tons per acre per year, as opposed to the industry standard of 6 tons per hectare per year. Yeah.
So for you, this should not worry us as we start?
No, for me, I would not be, it's too early to call it. I would give it a bit of time.
Yes. All right, I just want us to move to the next that we're focusing this morning. It should be talking about inflation as well, just so closely. No, this is the new fiscal measures take effect today. Yes. Now, what most Kenyans might not know, isn't it, that the deadline for filing returns was just the other day, which means we want to close the year and begin a new year, which is in line with 1st July. Let's just take a moment, therefore, to pretty much touch on the basic ones that Kenyans are going to be shocked into. Number one, I know we're going to touch on alcoholic drinks this year, isn't it?
Yes. Alcoholic drinks.
Yes.
Then there's a new tax on betting.
All right. I just want us to concentrate on that so that we tell people what they expect today.
Yes.
If you win 100 shillings after betting, you don't expect to get everything, do you?
No, they'll tax your winning.
Yes.
But they'll also tax your place, the bet you place.
That's it.
Yeah. So you're taxed at placing. So whether you win or not, you're taxed already. If you're lucky to win, you still get taxed.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
And there's a bigger thing to it. But I think
there's a bigger thing to it. Yeah. I think we're going to go straight into that.
Yes.
So now Kenyans who are betting should know that you're not going to get the people 100 shillings that you've been getting, or the 2 million shillings you've been getting. You get taxed twice.
Yes.
Taxed on the one that you've placed, and then taxed on your winning. That's what they call tax on winnings. It has been a thing that has been coming, but now it's actually embedded in the 2019-2020 budget. Okay, let's go straight away to cigarettes, isn't it?
It's cigarettes and alcohol.
Yes. That has also been
gone up.
Yes. So we expect to see a jump on that as well.
Yes.
Another thing now, capital gains tax, isn't it? It's supposed to take effect as from today. So anybody is selling or buying property in the country now, and that really want us to talk about that, they don't expect to pretty much get so much out of, because the government is going to gain so much.
Yes.
It was more than doubled now.
Yes.
We do know that.
Yes. Yes. I think it moved from, I think if I'm not wrong, 1.5 to about.
It's around 12.5%, isn't it? Yes.
Which is quite high.
Which is quite high.
Yes.
And then I want to ask you one question about that. We saw the reaction that some experts from PwC said, look, there's something that the government missed to introduce into that, the indexation. Well, Rotich was saying this, he said, look, I have factored in inflation at this moment to arrive at 12.5%. But then there was something that was missed out, indexation, to also factor in inflation at a different time. All right? Which pretty much means Kenya will be getting pretty much everything, despite where the inflation rate is, because now they'll be paying that 12.5% constantly, meaning they won't get any reprieve. And I want to ask you this question, Abram, this morning. So when you look at it under the affordable housing pillar, do you think the government is biting itself on the back? Because the same people were supposed to support this, because now we know that Rotich has been calling on the private sector to come in and support the government on this, but they're getting taxed more on the very, very area that the government is riding on.
No, you're very right. I think what we need to do is to harmonize our tax regime around the goals we want to achieve.
Yes.
But don't forget, again, we still have a problem of raising income.
Yes.
Or tax income for the government. So these are two conflicting roles, because on one hand, we have a 3 trillion budget, which we must raise this money from somewhere. And I think we're going to raise about 2.1 from taxes. On the other hand, we have 4 agenda items which need to be spurred. Now, if you look at it carefully, if we were to give breaks on all the 4, then it will impact very heavily on the amount that we're supposed to collect. So the question is, which one do you want to do first? Do you want to give a break, a tax break, and expect that the spur in the economy will translate to increased tax income in the future?
Yes.
Or tax them now as much as you can and collect all the money you need?
Yes.
So that's the question you need to answer. Do you want our money today and kill the golden goose that lays the golden eggs?
Yes.
Or allow it to give some concessions, so that, because the moment you give tax concessions, there's normally a boom in an economy, no doubt about it, because people like when they pay less taxes. But now we have to be able to quantify and give a timeline as to how long this tax break is going to give a return.
Yes.
In terms of an expanded economy that we can tax and recover this tax that we give out
Yes.
in earlier years. Yes.
And another thing that Rotich said about this, he said that, look, it's been adjusted like that so that it mirrors regional standards and levels. But is it not very expensive to get land in Kenya as it is to get it anywhere in East Africa?
You see, with taxes, the price of tax vis-a-vis the total cost of the land,
Yes.
I think is still negligible. But it is more expensive land here because land is a factor of supply and demand. That's number one. But what we need to work on is the capital gains tax, because that is a deterrent. You're very right, and it's good that what they said now, if a company is restructuring, if you're moving an asset from one company to another, that has been waived. That's a good move. But at the same time, even in the private place, I think we need to review that, because when the tax is too high, then again, as I told you, people find ways of going around it.
Yes.
Then we all lose. But if it is acceptable, or it's within acceptable bands, then people are willing to pay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Another measure that is supposed to take effect as from today is that any company in Kenya that is going to open shop to recycle and also use the materials that are existing in the Kenya, they're not going to get any tax on their business, isn't it? And also the machinery that they use to run their business. So for somebody thinking about starting any company today, is it a good place to go, and where should you start from?
You see, they've waived the duty on machinery.
Yeah, yes.
They've reduced their corporate tax from 30 to 15.
To 15%.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Now, what that will mean is that those industries will come, no doubt. Now, once they come and set shop, they will consume all the plastics that you see everywhere.
Yes, yes.
But the question is, how sustainable will those industries be? Because they'll probably run out of that raw material.
Yes,
because don't forget, there are already measures in place to stop anything plastic. So it means if you look at it logically, they'll run out of raw material.
Yes.
Because I was reading there's some countries in Europe that produce electricity out of garbage. Now some of those countries are either going to shut down those industries or will have to import garbage. So anything that relies on waste, that waste must also be produced sustainably.
Yes.
Now in this case, the plastic is not being produced sustainably because we are also working on the production of it.
Yes. Yes.
But in terms of them coming in, but the good thing, being investors, they'll come in with that reality in mind. They'll say, you know what, we've come in, we're going to probably have good garbage for 5 years, then struggle. But if they do their numbers and it works, they'll have made their money or return their money in 5 years, they'll go for it.
Yes.
And probably now they'll probably start importing their plastics from countries around that still do plastics.
All right, another tax is really very pertinent that is going to take effect as from today is now the one that is on, which one is this? Let me just have a look at it. Good. We've talked about that one. Oh, another one, cigarettes as well. Yes. Now, they've also been taxed on that as well.
Yes.
Do you think that, yes, in as much as we are trying to support our businesses in the country, that we should get to some, because from time to time we've been taxing them over and over again. Are we looking over the other side and saying, yes, our economy also does need this business? And number two, I want you to talk to me about this 840,000 jobs that we say that we created in 2018, 2019, which people are saying are neither here or there when you look at them versus what the economy needs. Now, the government also said that those people are going to get into these manufacturing jobs. Number one, assembly of motherboards that are locally assembled. They have also waived a tax on that. Is that a good way to start from in terms of promoting this kind of sector and also improving the level of employment in the country?
You see, for you to grow employment, you must assess your economy for those sectors that you have comparative advantage over your neighbors and the world at large. Now, Kenya has a big comparative advantage in agriculture, in ICT especially. So for the motherboard issue, that is a good move. That's
a good move.
It's a very good move. Because what we want to transform Kenya into is a Savannah Valley.
Yes.
To mirror Silicon Valley in the States.
But Abraham, somebody was asking me this question, that look, you cannot really say that in Kenya we have locally manufactured motherboards.
Yes.
I mean, the data is neither here or there. And so if you want many people to get into that, then they should have started on something else that already people are into, if you want to draw more people into that.
You see, you have to start from somewhere. Yes, we know we don't produce them. Probably most industries, you start with assembly, then you start producing the small items.
Yes.
As you build your way up until you're able to produce everything. So that's the way they'll go. For the agricultural side, I think we for the kind of jobs you're talking about, the 801 million jobs, we have to start emphasizing on agro-based industries.
Yes.
Because if we do that, and these industries will be based where the raw materials are. Because we have a good transport network, so we can produce them there and ship them to market.
Yes.
So that way now you spur growth in mashinani. So in terms of growing those jobs, it must come from those sectors that can be grown sustainably and have comparative advantage over neighbors. Because if we start going to sectors we don't have comparative advantage, we will not sustain. We'll struggle. We'll put in more than we're getting out. Yes.
All right. I mean, those are some of the areas that we are looking at this morning. I mean, yes, you should be aware that yesterday you were filing returns. So that means you're closing the year.
Yeah.
So that means that we are starting another year. That is, according to the government, things are really starting now. So the taxes and all that, they'll be coming straight to you. Another question that I really want to put across to you, Abraham, this morning is now the fiscal measure on affordable health. Isn't it? They've been piloting it now for quite some time now in 7 counties across Kenya. Don't you think it's time now for them to get findings and tell us whether this is possible or not? And should we expect it to grow further in this year?
Personally, I think that they're not piloting it to find out whether it works. It does.
It does
I think what they are piloting to do is to work on the operations and logistics of the house, of the how to do it. Because the kind of money that we check off from NHIF can sustain an affordable healthcare system. That's my personal opinion. It can. Globally. The amount of money we collect globally and the amount of people who need healthcare. If you do that sum, that money is enough. However, how do we now do that? How do we have this hospital taking care of this person through NHIF? That logistics, I think, is what they're working out.
Yes.
And I think, as you're rightly saying, I think it's about time maybe we started now rolling it out to everybody. Because the moment we have a healthy nation, because even for you to work, you have to be healthy. So when I talk about jobs, you first have to be healthy. Because if you're unhealthy, we can have all the jobs we want, but we'll have no one to go for those jobs.
Yes. All right, there are a lot of proposals in the universal healthcare that were outlined for 2019-2020 budget. I know we shall be calling Abraham again so that we sit down as a panel and really talk about them on a deeper level. But what we do know, yes, it should be taking effect as from today. All right, let's have a crossover and look at another issue that we are looking at this morning. All right. Now, I think we've already looked at this, so just cross over to the next one, all right, which is pretty much, I think we're talking about the coal plant in Lamu. Now, they're saying this. The cancellation of the license granted to the construction of the 1,000 megawatt Lamu coal power plant has sent strategists back to the drawing board as the country will have to embark on energy planning.
Yes.
And this is something that I really want to ask you this morning, Abraham, about our policies and the way in which that we embark on these policies. It's not the first time that we've seen a project pushed forward and then taken back to the drawing board again. I mean, we've seen that on the housing levy, we've seen that on the health, we've seen that on different other areas. And that has been synonymous during the 2018-2019 fiscal year. What do you think the government is missing in terms of coming up with these policies and some of the major projects that we have in this country? What is this thing that is really missing?
Okay, if we localize what you've just asked to this situation,
yes,
this thing what has been reversed is the NEMA license. It was reversed because the community went to the tribunal, environmental tribunal, and they said that they were not involved in the because before you get a NEMA license, the local community
must be involved as well.
So what has happened is that it's been cancelled for it to be redone. That is one thing. Number two, this plant is going to produce 1,000 megawatts from coal. Now, coal is not the cleanest of energy sources. It's not.
In fact, across the world, people are moving away from it.
This coal is not coming from Kenya.
Yes.
it will come from somewhere else. That's why it's located in Lamu. You see? So we will basically be importing unclean fuel. But that be as it may, we already at 2.8 gigawatt or 2,800 megawatts
yes.
installed capacity. Our peak demand is about 1,900 megawatts. As we speak, 700 megawatts of it is thermal energy. So we already, 800, 900 megawatts extra at peak consumption. So what are we saying? As it is now, we already have idle capacity, and a lot of it. So when we want to lump another 1,000 on top of it, and know what happens with the power purchase agreement, you pay for the power whether you use it
yes.
or you don't. So we're paying for 1,000 or so megawatts extra. No, not even counting this one, what already we have
yes.
for power we are not using. And that explains why our bills are high. So if today we retire the 700 megawatts of thermal power, then we would still be above peak demand, but by a very small margin. So what are we saying? What is our strategy? Are we saying that we are building them, then they will come? Or are we saying that we are, what is our process of matching demand,
yes.
future demand with future supply? Because I think we lost the plot somewhere. And I think that the plot was lost where we issued a lot of power purchase agreements with good planning, but those power purchase agreements did not translate to power on the ground. Instead, people use those power purchase agreements to speculate and sell them around.
Yes.
Because it's a valuable document. So to wrap it up, our capacity is way ahead of our demand, but it is costing our consumer dearly.
Yes.
So the ideal situation would be that we should try and reduce that gap as much as possible. Yes, supply should always be ahead of demand, but by as small margin as possible.
This is what the talking point is that we do know that the country has already started phasing out some of the thermal plants.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis the cost, it takes us to have these plants, yes. which is about 700 megawatts.
Yes, it is.
Out of the 2,712
yes.
megawatts we already
yes.
have currently
yes.
installed.
Yes.
But you see, they're already phasing this out when the 200 billion project in Lamu is already on standby.
Yes.
So are we slowly running into a crisis? Or are we saying, regardless of this court case, we pretty much know as a government that it's going to go forward? You see,
there's the 1,000. Don't forget there's the 300 coming yes. from Turkana that have not still been connected. So my point being, we are way ahead of consumption.
Yes.
And we may have to think about how we are doing our planning. Because anything that excess is paid for and not consumed. So it's basically money down the drain. Because there's no production attached to that cost.
Yes. Yes. All right. I just want us to cross over swiftly to the next headline that you're waking up to this morning. Now, Treasury is warning, look, that if you don't allow the yes. KCB acquisition of a national bank,
yes.
The bank is dead. Okay?
Yes.
But I want to ask you a question because we know that it's supposed to get done as from September 1st, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what
yes.
KCB intends to happen. But now what you see here now is that there are chances again that it might get delayed. Well, are you reading something inside here now which makes the Treasury say, look, if they don't at all take over NBK, then it's a dead bank?
You see, NBK has had its issues.
Yes.
And I think they have done very well trying to surmount the issues. But where it has reached now, they are breaching a lot of adequacy ratios. You see, there are certain ratios that you have to meet, your liquidity ratios, capital adequacy ratios. They're either very near breaching them or they've breached.
Yes.
Now, this takeover is true. It is their only way out. And it will be a very good move because it will make KCB stronger and it will save NBK. If you look at the strategy, they want to keep NBK up for 2 more years as a separate subsidiary.
Yes.
In terms of delay, what will delay is probably the approval processes.
Yes.
Because CMA has to approve.
CMA has to
Competition Authority has to approve.
Yeah,
and the 2 AGMs have to approve.
Yes. And I really want to ask you, because we don't know that there are around 3,500 employees of NBK that are bound to really, their jobs are neither here or there. Do you think that CMA as well, also other parliamentarians are looking at it and saying, maybe we need to think about where these jobs are going? Because now we don't know what CMA does. CMA can tell KCB, you need to have these employees here for the next 1 year.
In fact, I suspect the Competition Authority will put that as one of the requirements.
Yes.
That retain them for 2 years. That way now, at least you have a break. You know that in 2 years' time I'm losing my job.
Yes.
So at least I can plan.
Yes.
So I don't foresee anybody losing their job instantly, because they'll be forced to keep them.
Yes.
Not because I'm going to make money out of it, but sometimes we have to be human first, then business later. So I think the move of NBK going into KCB, I think, is a good one. I think eventually it will happen. The processes, yes, will take their due time, because the two AGMs will have to approve CMA and Competition Authority. Mm-hmm. And this coming from CBK, saying what they're saying, should be taken very seriously.
Yes.
Because they all have certain information that you and I don't have. So if they say that they need to go in, then they should.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I just want us to rush over quickly to the last one. We do know, we've already hinted at it. Now, look, 2 million shillings fine if you use a phone to gamble online. Okay, does this include betting? Because we know the country defines betting as gambling, isn't it, officially? Yes.
You see, many countries in the world don't allow betting the way we do it here.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So what this does, it will completely disrupt that market in terms of you cannot bet using your phone.
Wow.
So these companies either will have to shut down or create booths everywhere where you can go in, do your betting and walk out.
And that means more money for the government, because you have to set up shop.
But this one is purely driven by the ease of doing betting.
Yes.
It's become too easy. And because of being too easy, it's attracted certain people who are not envisaged to have gone into betting.
Yes.
So that they're trying to reverse that trend. In most countries, there are quite a number of countries that don't allow you to bet using your
mobile phone.
So we were basically trying to say, there are people who want to bet, we know them, but you guys go somewhere. The same way we say people who want to smoke, go to a smoking zone. So now you want to bet, you go to a betting zone.
You go to a betting zone, isn't it?
On the phone.
Yes.
And you can see the kind of fines that, this is 2 million is for a person.
2 million for a person, isn't it?
50 million
50 million for a corporate.
Yes.
It's not the first time, and I want us to clear on this, by the way. It's not the first time that we've seen the government try and get close to the betting companies in the country.
Yes.
For you, because it's a 200 billion market that we're talking about. And I really want to ask you this very nice question as we clear. Isn't there a way that the government can finally satisfy both sides and say, we recognize this is a business that you're doing, but then we need to find a proper way in which we integrate it into our country? And is culture really a good way to take out a 200 billion business from your economy?
You see, I think the government has made up its mind.
Yes.
That the ills of betting surpass the benefits we're getting from it as a government. So having come to that realization, they've decided we have to control this thing at whatever cost. Because some of the possibilities that some of these companies will close down. And that will impact, of course, the government.
Yes.
But I think the government has done its homework and has decided they're going to go this route.
Yes.
Because if you look at this is a very emotional bill. They have gone for 2 million per person, 50 million for a company.
Quite something.
The message is very clear. Yes. We do not want this anymore. However, this is a bill, so it's not a law. So it's still going through the motions in Parliament. So if it passes, it will be. If it doesn't pass, it's a clear message to these companies that this is coming.
This is coming.
Yeah.
And it's been coming for some time
for long. Remember I told you, we're just delaying our pain.
Yes.
But the pain will come.
Yes. Because now we do know that withholding tax and tax on winnings, it's something that is already happening for those who want to get into betting. Talk to us. Did you bet? Are you going to bet for Africa Cup of Nations? Yes. What's your prediction for Kenya, Senegal? And how much money are you going to get from that? We will be doing the computations for you. And then after that, talk to you and you can tell us exactly what it is that you're feeling. With the new fiscal measures for 2019-2020 budget taking effect in the economy as from today. We've been having Abraham Muthogo in the studio, CEO Miradi Capital, going through the major headlines that you're waking up to this morning.